Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing you won't get your ex back without this. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Check out my socials for extra content. The links are in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing you won't get your ex back without this. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you need certain things to achieve this goal. In today's podcast, I'll be telling you 3 things you can't get your ex back without. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is resilience. Now in the dictionary, resilience is described as the capacity to withstand or to recover from difficulties. And this is absolutely the case when we're trying to get an ex back. Now don't get me wrong, this is much easier for me to say than it is for you to get through. Ultimately, you're experiencing a combination of feelings very similar to grief and drug withdrawal. This is a challenge beyond possibly anything you've come across so far in your life, but you will conquer this challenge. You will achieve your goals of getting through breakup recovery. Slowly but surely, you can achieve this. And this is so important if you want to try to get your ex back, because trust me, if you don't showcase resilience, you won't get your ex back. You can't get your ex back without this. And the reason I say this is because no one is going to go back to their dumpee if they believe their dumpee has an unstable mindset. Now that is not saying anything negative about people going through the grind. I've been there through myself. I've been through very difficult times in my own past, just as many of you right now listening are going through right now. So I understand the difficulty, and this isn't about saying, okay, you don't feel stable-minded right now, so that makes you a bad person. Not at all. It doesn't make you a bad person at all, but what we also have to understand is it doesn't make you attractive to somebody who wants a romantic relationship, and we need to respect this. This isn't even just about your ex. You are not going to find a new, long-term, loving romantic relationship with anybody if they believe you have an unstable mindset. It's just not attractive. I like to use the analogy of imagine if you walked into a party, a large gathering, a get-together, and you look around and you see lots of people, and on one side of a room you see someone who is laughing, joking, big smile on their face, and they are surrounded by lots of other people. Then the other side of a room you see someone who is standing alone, their head is down, they're crying. Now what's your initial thoughts? Well, maybe you would approach the person who is crying and give them a hug. Ask them how they are. See if you can help them. But you are not likely to be physically, emotionally, or romantically attracted to that person. That position, that presence that they showcase is not attractive in a romantic sense. Yes, it might draw you in due to feeling sorry for them, due to worry, due to pity, but it is not attractive romantically. Now the other person, the other side of the room, laughing, joking, big smile on their face, surrounded by other people, they are much more likely to be someone that you deem attractive. And that is the difference. In essence, when we consider mindset, somebody has a positive mindset, somebody is showcasing via social proofing that they are someone that others want to spend time with. That is attractive. Most of the time, that is something that a lot of people would find attractive traits. If you see someone who is clearly suffering and struggling with an unstable mindset, yes, you might feel sorry for them, but you are not going to be romantically attracted to them. And that is why, when we're talking about today's podcast, you won't get your ex back without this. Point number 1 is resilience. You need to be resilient. It is something that we could argue that in today's world, we perhaps don't have as much of as we did back in the day. You know, that is a discussion for another time, but there is a lot of evidence you could suggest that people growing up in today's world are not having as much resilience built within them as people did in the past. Again, that is a debate. Some people will agree, some people will differ, but ultimately, whether you feel you've had resilience built into you as you grew up, through your childhood experiences, through your teenage experiences, through the people who were your caregivers, your peers, anybody who you mixed with, whether or not you felt that built the resilience within you, or whether you felt it was detrimental to that, we can almost put that to one side right now and just say, hey, look, it doesn't matter whether you feel that today's society has brought you on or held you back resilience-wise. What we can say is that you need to showcase it if you're going to get your ex back. I don't think I can think of anyone who has successfully reattracted an ex and got into a forever relationship post-breakup as a reconnection who didn't show some resilience. So it is so important. You can't get an ex back without resilience. You can't find someone better without resilience. Nobody is going to want to be with you romantically if you don't showcase a stable mindset. If you seem unstable, if you seem someone who can't cope with the current situation, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. You need to be speaking with someone, maybe a local doctor or professional, but it doesn't mean that they, your ex, or anybody else is going to want to be with you romantically. And we can't blame them for not wanting to be in that position, because I dare say you would feel the same as well. Because as I've said, romantically, we need to feel connected to someone, and that is generally, mostly, and in my opinion, every time, with someone who at least showcases stability. If you showcase instability, that is not something which is long-term compatible. It is not something that's going to make anybody else want to be with you. So please, if you want your ex back, you need to make sure you have resilience. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. And point number 2 is open eyes. So when we're talking about today's podcast, you can't and you won't get your ex back without this. I think point number 2 is really important, and I'm referring to it as open eyes. And what that means is you have to understand exactly what is going on regarding your ex. Now, me saying open eyes, it could also mean open ears. It could just mean that feeling and that perception about what exactly is going on. What I mean by this is you need to be careful if and when you hear from your ex about the direction that this new budding connection goes. Remember, we're talking about trying to get an ex back. You won't get your ex back without open eyes, and that is because you won't be able to, quote unquote, read the room. You won't be able to understand the differences, the nuances, the slight variance of what your ex is giving you, trying to present to you, and you need to pick up on all of the little elements that you can see within their contacts. And if you meet, when you actually physically see each other one-on-one, you need to be really reading their body language and understanding where are they at. Now, the reason I say this is because if you hear from your ex, it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to reconnect with you at that time. They might reach out to you for various reasons that have got nothing to do with wanting to be with you romantically. However, if you navigate this appropriately and effectively, you could almost change their mind on the fly. However, maybe they do reach out to you with romantic intentions in mind, and you read the room wrong. You don't see this as something that they're trying to get across. You don't understand their point, and therefore you go off on a tangent. You accuse them of things which are wrong. You behave inappropriately, and maybe push them away when they were so close to you. This is why open eyes is very, very important. You must read the room. You must listen to what is being said. You must read between the lines. When you get the text messages, you need to understand what exactly is being said. If you receive contact which is necessary, that doesn't mean that they want to get back with you in that instance. But it also doesn't mean that maybe in the future they might not actually want to be with you. So if you receive contact from your dumper and it's for a necessary reason, I like to use the example of they're asking you whether they can pick up their work laptop, which is at your house. That is necessary. That isn't a romantic reach out. They need their work laptop. And you need to understand this, and you need to recognize that this isn't for a romantic reason that they reach out. However, the way you behave could dictate the future. If you respond to them and say, hey, you're not picking this up, the way you treated me, you're not having that back. Do you really think that is going to help you in the future? You've got to be understanding of where they're coming from. They're coming from a point of something necessary. Okay, it's not romantic, but does that mean that you should treat them badly just because they dumped you? If you want them back, you can't be treating them badly. So read the room, understand they don't want romance right now, but the way you behave could alter their thoughts regarding you. They might expect you to cause bother, drama, and an argument. If you don't give them that, if you're polite, respectful, and arrange for it to happen, that could just change their mindset. So that in the future, they might reach out to you for an unnecessary reason. And that's what we're looking for. Now, what happens if you receive that unnecessary contact? Well, that's wonderful. But don't just assume that you can jump in and accuse them of this, that, or the other, or try and suggest it means this, that, or the other. You've got to almost let it play out the natural way. You can't be expecting them to instantaneously say, hey, I miss you, let's get back together. Okay, you've got to understand that they're probably going to reach out for something which isn't necessarily as obvious as I miss you and I want to get back together. And if and when you receive such unnecessary contact, you need to behave appropriately. Don't say, hey, I know what you're doing here. I know you want me back. That won't happen if you accuse them of having those thoughts and feelings. They might not even realise themselves. But what I would say is that if they're reaching out to you for an unnecessary reason, they must be thinking of you. You don't text somebody for no reason. And if somebody is doing that after they dumped you, it shows in my mind a level of feeling. Now that feeling might be obvious to them, but maybe it's not. And we need to grow it in the appropriate way. Navigating the communication stage isn't easy, but it is possible. And you need to be making sure that you do this in the right way so that you get to the point of meeting. Now, if and when you meet, this is a whole new ball game. You're so close, but you need to make sure that there is a romantic vibe. Now, you've got to be respectful. You can't be somebody who is pushy. You can't be somebody who is controlling. You can't be somebody who is awkward or strange. You've got to understand and read the room and look with your own eyes, listen with your own ears, keep everything open and understand what is happening. Feel the vibe. Is this a good vibe? Is it a friendship vibe? Are you just getting that platonic feel from your ex? Do they just want to friend zone you? Or is there clearly some romantic feeling? How are they behaving? What are they wearing? What are they doing? What are they saying? Listen, open your eyes, understand what is happening. The dance can be sometimes complex. The dance is not always straightforward, but if you correctly achieve your goals, then the dance can be very, very beautiful indeed. So please keep your eyes open. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website, www.dateme.tips, for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast, about you won't get your ex back without this. And point number 3 is confidence. Confidence is attractive. Now you might think to yourself, well, I've never been confident, and I was with my previous partner before. We was in a relationship and I never had any confidence. Well, I would argue that you must have had some level of confidence within that relationship and previously for that connection to have grown and developed the way it did. But certainly to get an ex back, you need confidence. At the time of a breakup, you as a dumpee are going to likely feel very low value. You're likely going to feel like your self-esteem has been shattered. But we need to try and find that resilience from point number 1 and grow as a person to become a version 2.0 of yourself. You need that confidence because confidence is attractive. Somebody who is behaving in an awkward way, somebody who is behaving in a low value way, isn't as likely to get their ex back as somebody who showcases confidence, believes in themselves, and understands that they are a great person and they don't need their dumper. You don't need your ex. Whether or not you get them back, that is irrelevant to your happiness. You can and will find someone better than your ex. Even if you don't get them back, you shouldn't be daunted because you will achieve your goals of finding that fulfillment and happiness within a long-lasting romantic relationship. As long as you concentrate on becoming a version 2.0 of yourself, as long as you put the effort into yourself and concentrate on improving yourself, you will achieve your goals. So if we consider an ex and the type of person that they're going to be attracted to, we need to consider that you need to be better in quotation marks, than the person that they dumped. They dumped you for whatever reason it may have been that caused them a loss of romantic emotional attraction, but then they likely would have seen your confidence crumble even further. Maybe it wasn't that high to begin with, and now it is even lower. We need to be someone that they deem better than them in certain elements. Most people are always looking to date up if possible. Most people are looking for someone who has that air of something that they can't quite put their finger on. If you can have that level of confidence, you become more attractive to most people, including your ex. Now, how do you get confidence? Well, some people say you need to fake it till you make it, but ultimately it comes from within, an understanding that you can improve every single day and you can find someone better than your ex. If you get them back, then that's fine. If you don't, no worries, because there is somebody even better out there for you. If you live your life that way, if you enjoy different hobbies and interests, making new connections, spending time with friends, laughing, smiling, being happy, carefree and fun, you will exude confidence. Confidence will come from every pore in your body, and whether you're on social media, whether you're in person, whatever it may be, anybody who sees you, reads what you type, hears what you say, will understand you are a confident person, and that is attractive. And without it, I would suggest that you probably wouldn't get your ex back. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.